So, in part two of a consumer behavior, chapter consumer behavior, in part two, as I mentioned, we're going to discuss about budget constraint and consumer choice. So, let's start with this idea. Now, what we are doing here, we are talking about the budget constraint. Budget constraint means that how much income the consumer is having or available to the consumer so that he can spend between these two goods or between any two goods in our scenario of a simple model in which we are spending money against the two goods or service. So here in our particular example, we are explaining the combination between food and clothing. So we see that a budget line or a budget constraint can be, we can write it like what is the price of a food multiplied by the units of food we are buying plus price of a clothing, PC we are defining as price of a clothing into number of clothing units we are buying must be equal to the income. So we are making here one more assumption which is not discussed here, but we are assuming that there is no saving and there is no borrowing. So whatever the income we have, the consumer is consuming it. So here in our example is the consumer has an $80 to spend between food and clothing, and we see that what market baskets are possible with an $80. 0 food, 40 clothes, 20 food, 30 clothes, 40 food, 20 clothes, and 60 food, 10 clothes, and 80 food, 1 clothes. Now these combinations are possible, and $80 is the total spending or total income available to the consumer. Now with this equation, now what we can do is we can determine, like with these combinations, like what is the price of a clothing. So if you see that we are able to buy 40 clothing units with $80, it means that the clothing has a price of $2. And we see that when we buy 80 units of food with $80 of income, so it means that the food price is $1. So we can write it in place of PF as 1 and PC as 2. So we can write it like F plus 2C is equal to 1, right? Is equal to 80. Sorry. So a budget line describes the combination of goods that can be purchased given the consumer's income and the prices of the goods. So line AG, so we can see here A and G, maximum 40 clothes are possible, maximum 80 foodings are possible, and when we join these lines we can get it a straight line between these 2 points, and this line is representing all the combinations that the consumer is able to buy with the available income. Here in our example it is $80. So line AG, which passes through point B, D and E, shows the budget associated with an income of $80. A price of food P is $1 as I mentioned, and the price of a clothing PC is $2. Units, the slope of the budget line. Now we want to find out the slope of the budget line. Now this is a slope between the clothing and food, right? So food is plotted on x-axis and clothing is plotted on y-axis. So you see, if you want to find out the slope of this curve, so so delta C over delta P is going to be the slope of this curve. Delta F, delta C and delta F. So delta C and delta F is changing with the price. So we can say that the slope of this curve is minus PF over PC. So the slope of the budget line measures between point B and D or any other point, because it's a straight line, it's constant, which is minus F or minus F over minus PF over PC, which is the relative price of these two products. The product which is plotted on x-axis divided by the product which is plotted on y-axis. So it's going to be minus 1 by 2. So the slope of this line is minus 1 by 2 all along the curve. Now this budget line can be shift inward or outward. because how it's going to be changed, inward or outward, or a shift, not change, in fact it is a shift of the curve, parallel shift of the curve, uh, uh, this way, and in this case it is this way. It is only because of the change in the income. Although the price change can also shift the budget line, but here we are assuming that there is a income change. We will talk about the price change as well. So a change in income price with an income with price unchanged cause the budget line to shift parallel to the line L1. If the prices increase, that's L1 to L2. If the prices decrease, and if the prices increase, it's moved from L1 to L3 because less goods going to buy from both. So there is a change, that's what we can say, change in the budget line because of the change in the price of a one product. So assume a change in the price of a one good which with income unchanged causes the budget line to rotate. So if the clothing price is not changing, only the food price is changing. So if the food price decrease, what happens? The budget line rotate outwards. Why it is rotating? Because is one point is fixed, the other point is moving forward or backward. That is called as a rotation. So when the price of a good falls from $1 to 50 cents, the budget line rotates outward from L1 to L2. However, when the price increases from $1 to $2, the line rotates inward. Now, the second thing which we want to discuss in this chapter is consumer choice. The market maximizing market basket must satisfy two conditions. That's where the consumer is going to make a choice. How many units of clothes, and how many units of food they're gonna buy with the available budget. All other assumptions we already made, like no saving, no credit, and also that uh, more is better, and transitivity among these two goods, and also completeness of bundles among these two groups, and indifference curves we also discuss. So this is the first, this is the condition that the utility is going to be maximized, or consumer is going to be maximum satisfied when two conditions are fulfilled. One, it must be located on the budget line, means that he is going to consuming all his budget. It must be on the budget line. The second, it must gives the consumer most preferred combination of the goods and services. Most preferred combination is only those indifference curves which are tangent to the budget line. Otherwise, higher is better, but higher is other than the one I mentioned, like tangent to the budget line, is not possible. It's out of budget. So here is a case like consumer choice, maximizing consumer satisfaction. A consumer maximizes satisfaction by choosing market basket A. At this point, the budget line and indifference curve U2 are tangent. Tangent means that they have only one common point, which is A, you see here. So this combination, like 20 units of clothing and 40 units of food, gives the consumer maximum satisfaction with an income of $80, and the price of food is $1, and the price of clothing is $2. So that's going to be give the consumer maximum satisfaction. And no higher level of satisfaction market, although consumer prefers this point, but why they are not going for that point or not adopting that point? Because it is out of budget. The consumer don't have any income to buy these combinations, so it's out of question. At point A, the point of maximizing, so this is the point we want to make it here, and you want to learn where the utility is maximized, or benefit is maximized, or the happiness is maximized, where the MRS, which is the slope of the indifference curve of the two goods, equals the price ratio. And what is the price ratio? Price ratio is the slope of the budget line. So what we learn, because these are tangent here, it means tangent point have a same slope, and tangent point have a same slope means that the slope of the indifference curve is same, and the slope of the budget line at that point is also same. So by this way, what we learn, that utility maximization combination, or the consumer is going to make a choice where the indifference curve slope, which is MRS, is equal to the relative price, which is the slope of the budget line, are equal. So we can say MRS is equal to PF over PC, which is the relative price. So marginal benefit from the consumption of one additional unit of good, and marginal cost is an additional cost of buying additional unit of good. So we can say that satisfaction is maximized when the benefit associated with the consumption of one additional unit of food is equal to the marginal cost, the cost of additional unit of food. The marginal benefit is measured by the MRS. So marginal benefit is measured by MRS on the indifference curve and the slope. Now we can see here that what we discussed regarding the automobile selection, the space, and the acceleration. So we can see here, if we plot like the consumer has a $10,000 and he want to spend only this 10,000 on the attributes of a larger space or a space or the acceleration. So the consumer in A are willing to trade off a considerable amount of interior space for some additional acceleration. So he go for a $7,000 for acceleration and only $3,000 for space. On the other hand, the other consumer which prefers the more space is going to spend 7,500 on space and rest 2,500 on acceleration. And we see that they have their own indifference curves because their preferences are different and they are satisfying their utility at the point where their indifference curves are tangent to each other. Now there is a possibility of a corner solution situation in which the marginal rate of substitution for one good in a chosen market basket is not equal to the slope of the budget line. Corner solution: when a corner solution arises, the consumer maximizes satisfaction by consuming only one of the two goods. So if that is the situation, we call it as a corner solution. And given budget line A, the highest level of satisfaction is achieved at point B on indifference curve U1, where the MRS of an ice cream for a frozen yogurt is greater than the ratio of the price of ice cream to the frozen. So if there is a preference, like a consumer prefers only one product out of the two products, so then we have a corner solutions. And in a corner solution, MRS, where the MRS is greater than the ratio of the price of the ice cream to the, it's not equal. So that's only this violation of the utility maximization is possible only if there is a corner solutions. Corner solution means that consumer is preferring only one good over the other, only one good. There is a practical example from the healthcare, like the healthcare. If we look at the graph between healthcare and other goods, so we see a very clear-cut indication from this graph, like as the income level is increasing from one point to another point, and the third stage, or our utility function is also tangent to that point. And we see here that as the income level is increasing, the consumer is more conscious about the health, and the expenditure on health is increasing as compared to other goods. So this is what we infer from this. There is another example in your book about a college trust fund. In this example, there is a catch, and the catch is this, that it is a education trust fund. So it means that parents deposit some money in the trust fund with the objective that when our kids become able to go to university or a college, they will get this much amount. In that case, they don't have an availability of spending that money when they get this money on the other goods. So we see, if we plot education and consumption of other goods, so we see that the combination A is obtained with the level of income, but as when they are getting a money from the this education trust fund or a college trust fund, the consumer is going to spend only more on education but not on other consumption goods, because it's a conditional type of a college trust fund. So this is our second part. Now the only one part is left from this chapter, and we're going to discuss that part in our third video.